nothing but the dog in me. Why must I chase the cat?
Hot, he's stressed.
Good evening and welcome to Posse Presents. I am here tonight with one of my birthday dogs. This is Bailey and Melanie Kenadek. That was so much easier to say when we were off camera. From Sweetpea Friends of Rutland Animals. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
I am just over the moon. Anytime that I can meet any of the animals that I pick for my birthday dogs or just like take an interest in, and I'm always happy to meet the people behind the shelters. So it really is an honor to have you here. Bailey was not the only birthday dog from Sweetpea. There was also Brooklyn and Sydney, and unfortunately Brooklyn and Sydney have not found homes yet.
No, they have not. They're still with us.
And whoa! Man overboard.
Come on back up.
Come on, you can come back up.
He says I'll sit down here.
He says I'll stay down here. Okay, fine, be that way. And Bailey actually went into a foster to adopt with Kitty.
Yes.
Did we get a picture of Bailey and Kitty together, Zach, in the mix? No, because I didn't ask you to, that's why. Anyway, so tell us what happened with Bailey and Kitty.
Well, Bailey was too much energy for their old dog. They had an old Basset Hound, and he wouldn't leave the Basset Hound alone. He just wanted to play, and the Basset Hound wanted to rest. Kitty would go over, and she would just curl up and sleep with the Basset Hound. And then Bailey had some house training issues, which they said they could work through. They just couldn't have him continuing to irritate the older dog that was in the home. So they asked if they could adopt just Kitty. And we decided that it's better to have one of them in a home since they've both been with us for over a year now, and then try and work on finding Bailey a home by himself, and hopefully it will be easier to get him in a home and he'll move faster by himself instead of adopting him as a pair.
And you know, some people will take issue with splitting a pair, but he seems fine. And you said Kitty bonded with the other dog, so it kind of like it's all good.
It all worked out. Sometimes, I mean, we try our hardest to get them into a home as a pair, but when it comes to the choice of, well, do we leave them both in a cage at the shelter, or do we get one of them in the home and then work on getting the other one in a home, it's better to do the best thing for them and get somebody into a home. We've tried in the past, and we've had dogs that were adopted together, and it didn't work out in the home, and they have called and they've said, can we put them with our family member, and they've separated the dogs. They still get to see each other, but they are separate.
Yeah, and you know, some dogs can do it. Some dogs really can't, but some dogs can, and from the best I can tell, he's doing just fine.
He is.
He's very energetic. He's about 11 years old now.
Yes.
So he came to you a year ago at about 10.
July 13th, 2014, he came to us.
That's funny because you slipped and that's my birthday,
Yep.
the 13th. So yeah, he's about 11 and he's full of vim and
energy.
vigor.
Yes,
yeah,
he is.
Vim and vigor. There's another couple of words I would use, but we're on TV and I'll just be real nice about it.
Going?
Come here, Bailey. Where are you? Where are you going? Come on, sweetheart.
You want to come up here?
No, huh?
Up. All the way
It's
up.
like I'm a little leery because I went over.
See, if you sit this way, you won't fall off, hopefully.
Yeah, but look at how beautiful he is. And, you know, he is very energetic, but he also likes to cuddle.
Yes.
And tell us.
He likes other dogs. He likes cats. He lived with cats. He lived with children. He was surrendered because his owner's husband passed away, and then they lost their home. So she had to find a place for her and the kids to live. And she surrendered Kitty and Bailey and their cat Gavin. And Gavin and Kitty are both in homes, and we need to find Bailey a home now.
Yeah, now it's Bailey's turn, and he's a love. I just love him. He's definitely a great dog, and I can't imagine that he wouldn't have been scooped up, you know?
It's because we were trying to look for a home for the both of them, and that's harder to do.
Yeah, it certainly is. And you know, my theory on things, and we talked about this last night, is what's another mouth to feed? When you're talking two little dogs, it's just another mouth to feed, isn't it? And it's a shame that you have spent such a long time in the shelter. We're gonna try to get you a home, aren't we?
And he's gorgeous when he's full coat, but we keep him shaved for the summer. It's easier on him and
Oh,
easier on us,
yeah.
so we don't have to bathe him every day.
Oh, absolutely. And he looks like so well kept and so perfect. Come on, folks. Somebody's got to want to scoop this guy up. I mean, I want to see him in a home. I mean, obviously you do too.
Yes.
But, I have that special interest of my birthday dog. So that's, we got to do this. So if you're watching this at home, it's going to be on YouTube. Share him a lot, and we'll try to find him a home. Now, two of the other dogs that were my birthday dogs, Sydney and Brooklyn. Let's talk about them a little bit. Zach, let's pull up a picture of Brooklyn. And there she is. Let's tell us a little bit about Brooklyn.
Brooklyn came to us from a gentleman who adopted her from Brooklyn Animal Shelter in New York City.
Okay.
And he said that she was not getting along with his dogs. They were fighting. She does have food allergies. She does better if she's kept on a turkey diet. We did try a raw diet with her with a holistic vet, and we have some supplements for her. She's also allergic to environmental things, grass and dirt, so she's worse when she's out in the grass and dirt. She's very friendly with everybody. She does great with other dogs outside, but when she gets inside, she starts becoming protective of her toys, her food, and just would be better off if she was the only pet.
Okay. Well, I always say that that's a niche adoption, but doesn't make it a bad dog.
Right.
Never makes a dog that needs to be an only is not a bad dog. It's just, some people don't like other people, so why should we expect dogs to like other dogs, right?
But she's definitely a sweet, loving dog.
Well, hopefully maybe we can work on getting
Her a home.
her a home, and maybe even have her come down if you're up for another trip. But we'll leave that alone for now because I'm greedy. I'm just like, hey, bring them all on. Next up, we have Sydney. Sydney is gorgeous. Let's hear your story on Sydney.
Sydney was surrendered from a family who had other dogs, and the other dogs were beating on Sydney. She's afraid of other dogs now.
Aw.
She's great with children. She seems to be okay with cats, and she loves every adult that comes in there. We have a lot of teenagers that come in to volunteer and some smaller kids, and she's super with them. She loves to be out in the yard and play with balls and with frisbees and just to run around. And then when she tires herself out, she'll just lay down and lounge. But she definitely, we feel she should be an only pet because of her fear of other dogs.
Well, sure. I mean, it's only fair to her when you've been bullied, so to speak. You're always on your guard, and you don't know how to deal with others.
Right.
So that's what it is with her. And so again, doesn't make her a bad dog. It's just that she needs like her own little niche, somebody who's looking for an only. We'll take the camera back, Zach, and tell us a little about Sweetpea Friends of Rutland Animals. Tell us about the shelter.
Well, Sweetpea was founded back in 2000. My father, Richard Clark, founded it. He was the animal control officer for 23 years for the town of Rutland. And in the 90s, if you did not find the owner of a dog, the general practice was to put them down. And he had a lot of good dogs that belonged to animal control in his home that he didn't want to put down. So he had found Sweetpea in the prison camps, and she was a pit bull, probably about 10 years old. She was pregnant. She had very failing health, and all of the puppies didn't make it. Our vet worked with her to get her so she was healthy. She went to a farm rescue in Rutland and lived out the rest of her life there, and she was known as OD, standing for other dog.
Aw.
And now mostly we take in animals from animal control officers. We do have personal surrenders. We also take a few dogs from other shelters when they're full and they need to send animals to us so they can open up their pens. But most of our dogs do come from animal control officers and personal surrenders. We don't bring in dogs from down south or any other state. We're not authorized to by the state. We didn't want to do that because we wanted to remain a local shelter. but we do have some dogs who originated in other states who have been brought up here and then either surrendered by their personal owners or sent over by the shelters that brought them up.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't prevent somebody's history.
No. And we have so many dogs in there, we really don't need to be bringing them up. So most of our dogs are adults. Rarely do we get puppies. But we have a lot of cats as well, and we always have kittens during kitten season.
Oh yeah, and kitten season seems to get longer and longer every year, doesn't it?
Yes, it doesn't seem to be a break.
No, not at all.
Last year it started in March, and I think the last kittens out of the shelter were in December.
Wow, it's a longer season. It really is.
And I do work with a lot of feral cats as well, and after they've gone through and been spayed and get their shots, I work with them to get them adoptable. And you have to have a lot of patience and time.
Oh, yeah.
I have one, Diego. He's been with us for almost 3 years. It took me 2 years to be able to touch him.
Wow.
But he's now letting me pet him when the dogs are outside and things are calm. He will let me pet him.
That's
so
great.
A few more months, he'll be ready to go to a home, and he'll have to have a calm, quiet home.
Oh, yeah.
With no children. Other cats will be great for him, but no children and no dogs.
Sure. I mean, you know, look how far you brought him. I mean,
Yes.
it may have taken a while, but people need to learn patience and perseverance and not to give up with these animals.
And some of them don't take as long as he did. He's
No.
taken a long time to trust.
And that just makes them all the more special, doesn't it?
Yes.
It really does. So I have to say that it's because of Juno and Mom that I even know that you guys are out there. Definitely a great place, and Juno and Mom support you guys all the time. You guys have great events going on and all kinds of things. So that's part of that circle of that social network thing.
Yes.
You know, which is really awesome. And
Juno and Mom have been great friends for us.
Juno and Mom are great friends for a lot of people. I'm honored to be among their friends, and it's just really nice to be able to have you guys here. I can't say that enough. Anyway, so we've got some pictures of some of your other critters, and maybe we'll show them now and talk about them a little bit. Zach, let's get Oliver up. What a gorgeous, gorgeous cat. He looks like a long-haired version of a couple of cats that I've had, the black and white tuxedo. So tell us about Oliver.
Oliver was a stray cat. When he came in, we could not get near him. He would scratch and bite. It took him a couple of months to trust. First, he trusted a friend of ours, Hillary, who we called our cat director. He was her favorite cat, and he took care of being with her all the time. He looked forward to her coming in and visit, and she would pet him, and he'd roll over for her, and she could pet her, his tummy, everything. But he wouldn't let anybody else near him.
Wow.
Only Hillary. Unfortunately, Hillary passed away, and now Oliver is accepting Doreen and myself. Most people can go in and pet him. Every now and then he'll give you a little swat, but mostly it's a play swat. He's ready for a home now.
Okay.
And because he was an outside cat and he's nervous, we just prefer not to have him with children or with dogs. Other cats are great, though. He gets along with other cats.
Well, that's good.
He's about 6 years old, and that's a guess for us. And all of the cats are FIV, FELV tested, and they're up to date on their vaccines.
Okay, so that's
And
Oliver.
spayed and neutered.
And he's gorgeous. So somebody who would be looking, just somebody with a mellower home,
Yes.
and he'd probably fit right in. Another cat.
And when
would
I
be
say
fine.
children, I mean small children,
Yeah,
babies
the
and
running
toddlers.
around, the
Yes.
running around, screaming and excitable type kids. It's not good sometimes with some animals, and
Right.
you know, people need to pick the right pet for their home, and Oliver's not going to be good with smaller kids, and that doesn't make him a bad cat.
No.
All right, so next up we have Ben.
Ben, if you look at him, he is still wild. I have not been able to touch him yet. We've had him about 3 months. He's no longer lunging for us when we go in his pen to clean.
Okay.
But he'd prefer right now that we not touch him. You can see on the side is his pen mate. Everybody gets a pen mate, and they learn to work it out. She is a very friendly cat, So he will learn from her. He watches us pet her, and then he gets curious as to, well, why is she allowing it and enjoying it? So eventually he will come around.
Sure, he'll learn by example.
Yes.
And that's, you know, there's a lot to be said for that in a lot of situations with animals. So hopefully Ben will learn that people aren't bad, and that'll be a good thing for him.
They're scared when they come in.
Yeah, how could they not be? You know, they're catapulted into a situation they've never been in before. They hear dogs barking
all around them,
and they don't know what to make of that. They don't know if they're safe or not, because, you know, usually a cat is afraid of a strange dog, and, you know, there's so many different noises and sights and smells that they've got to be thrown for a loop when they first come in.
And being a feral most of his life, he doesn't trust people to begin with.
Absolutely not. All right, so next up we have Sam, and I love Sam's face.
Sam is a sweetheart. He gives everybody hugs and kisses. He loves other cats. He loves everybody. I don't know about dogs because we're not going to put him into a pen with a dog to find out if he's going to like a dog.
Nope.
He is about 1 to 1.5 years old. He's neutered, and he came in with a group of cats whose owner went into a nursing home, and they had several cats in the house. So as they're catching them in the home, they're bringing the cats in to us, and then we're finding them homes. Sam has 2 bunkmates right now. They're 2 black cats. One's name is Louie, and one is Knox.
Alrighty, and that's Sam. Next up we have Fenway. What a face on Fenway.
Fenway was found as a outside cat, and the neighbors brought him in. They said that their neighbors moved away and left the cat there.
Of course.
So very friendly, ready for a home.
You gotta wonder what these poor animals think, like when their families just like move and leave them. It's the worst thing you can do.
Because they're nervous, you know, they're used to being inside with their families. Now all of a sudden they're outside, they're fending for themselves, nobody's feeding them anymore.
Yeah, they don't understand, you know, and it's not like the family said, hey, you know, this is what's going on, so, you know, fend for yourself. They just left them, and one day the cat had a home, and the next day they don't. And it's
you know, they may have
awful.
called the shelter or another shelter to surrender them, but the shelters are full.
Yeah.
We have to turn people away because we don't have a pen or we have too many in there. You can't have a lot of cats in one room without expecting that they're going to get sick.
Exactly.
Right now we have a total of about 35 cats and kittens. We have 2 separate rooms with them, and then some of the cats are in my house until they're old enough to go to the shelter, because the mother cats and the kittens.
Yep. So, you know, you're not just full at the shelter, you're full in your house.
Yes.
And that's the way rescue works. Because I certainly remember when I was with the shelter and there was no room and someone brought a cat in or kittens, and I'd be like, all right,
Or a sick cat. And
I'll take it home. I'll bring it down when it's time. You know, you make room. You find a way. And when people are so willing to dump an animal, it really boggles the mind, doesn't it?
Yes.
All right, so Fenway, that face is just something else. Next up is Cheshire.
Yep, Cheshire's another one whose owner packed up and moved and left her outside.
Unbelievable. Why do people think cats are going to be
she's
okay
another
outside?
One. She's an absolute sweetheart. She's not as nervous as most cats that come into the shelter. Right away, she was just lovable and happy to be inside.
Yeah, sure, because she got dumped, and you know, no place like home. Even if it's the shelter, at least she's got a roof on over her head. And she's not fending for herself. People, stop dumping these cats. Really, it's horrible. But she's beautiful as well, and she's ready for a home. You say as well.
Yes.
Okay. Next up, we have Bo. That's such a great picture. That's like one of those.
Smiling.
Yeah, that's just such a great picture. Tell us about Bo.
When Bo came in, we were told that he was found in the Westboro State Reservoir tied to a tree with a cage muzzle on.
Oh.
Police investigation found out that that is not what happened. The woman who brought him to the shelter was his owner.
Of course.
And she kept the cage muzzle on him all the time.
Oh.
The wounds that were in his face from the cage muzzle digging into him were rotting. We had to get him to a vet to have them get him on a strong antibiotic. He's healed up really nice now, but he had a huge wound underneath his eye. He had wounds on the sides of his mouth, and then wounds underneath his chest and his legs. He was trying to dig that cage muzzle off of him. We found that he is best with children and women, big dogs. He's not too happy about little dogs or cats. He likes to chase the cats. And he's very protective of his women. He doesn't want to let men near them. So we have now posted him after he came back from a foster to adopt home. He's be best with a woman who lives alone because he doesn't want to share his woman with any man.
Well, you know, there are those of us out there. You know, it's.
Yeah, and we've seen it in the office too, because if we're sitting in the office and Dick, our founder, walks in, he'll get right down next to us and he'll just start growling. He's never tried to bite or anything, but he doesn't want him coming near us.
No. And there's a reason for everything, isn't there?
Yes.
All right. Next we have Lovey.
Lovey's definitely one of my favorites because I'm partial to Akitas. I have four.
I would never have known from our conversation.
And Lovey came into us. She weighed about 38 pounds and was pretty bald.
Oh.
She had severe flea dermatitis. We got her so she's very healthy. As you can tell right now, she definitely is not 38 pounds.
Nope.
She's about 65 to 70 pounds now, and a nice thick coat on her. She
As it should be.
Plays great with dogs outside, but is very aggressive towards them inside over her food and her toys. But given the fact that she was starving when she came in, she's just not going to give them the chance to share her food. With an experienced Akita handler who has another Akita, they could work with her.
Sure.
As long as they don't have children, so children would not get involved in the mix.
Right.
If she went to a home with no other animals, she is great with children. She has high energy. She definitely needs somebody to let her know that jumping's not okay. We're kind of bad with that. We reinforce the bad behavior
well,
and let her jump up
sometimes
on
we
us and
do.
give her hugs and kisses.
Sometimes we do that.
She actually belongs to Big East Akita Rescue. I work with that rescue for the Akitas. I asked them for their help a few years ago when we had another Akita surrender to the shelter. So when they have an Akita up here that they need a place for because they don't have a space in New Jersey, we take the Akitas in. We hold them and try and find them homes. If they have an opening in New Jersey, then they get transferred down to them.
Alrighty. And next we have Ashton. I love this face.
Ashton's another one of my favorites. He's super with me now. When he first came in, he would try and bite me.
Oh boy.
He was in a home where he ruled the roost for 2 years. They thought his biting was cute as a puppy.
Oh, of course.
Until it got out of control to the point where he would not allow them in their own kitchen because they put his food down and they could not come back into the kitchen until he decided to finish his food.
Oh boy.
No matter how long it took.
Wow.
He's learned with me he can't get away with that behavior. He comes out, he gives me hugs and kisses, we play, he loves to roll around in the snow, loves to play with people. But he gives my volunteers a hard time when it's time to put him back into the pen. He will not let them put him back. He turns around and tries to bite him when they go to take the leash off.
Oh.
And they back away and they say, can you take it off of him? Because they get nervous because they don't want to get bit. So I'll go in and I'll take his leash off and then we play with his toy and close his gate up and he's fine. But
what a little tyrant,
if
huh?
he knows that he can get away with bad behavior,
He will. Just like a kid.
So he'll need a home with no children or other animals and somebody that isn't going to let him get away with the bad behavior.
Someone
and
who'll be the boss.
work with him.
All right, well, we'll take the camera back now, Zach. We're just sitting here loving on Bailey like this whole time.
And he's
all right.
enjoying it.
He is. He's actually, he's like feeling like the king right now, isn't he? So where exactly is the shelter located?
We're located at 1090 Pleasant Street in Paxton, Massachusetts. Pleasant Street is Route 122 north heading towards Barry.
Okay. And if someone is interested in any of the animals that they've seen or coming to check out anybody else you've got, or in Bailey,
Mr. Bailey.
how would they reach you?
They could either call us at 508-757-7959 or they could send us an email at sweetpea4@verizon.net.
Okay, one more time for both.
508-757-7959 or sweetpea4@verizon.net.
Okay, so that's our contact information. And how much time do we have left, Zach? 2 minutes? I think we'll have just a little quick visit. As I mentioned earlier, the reason why a lot of people know about you is because of Juno and Mom.
Yes.
So we actually have a cameo appearance about to happen. Let's make some room. You want to come over here, you? Oh, yes, you're a big mug.
Juno and Mom, now come in.
Juno and Mom
I gotta get off your tail.
are here along for the ride. Hi. Uh-oh. Yeah.
Bailey wants to be her
Bailey
friend.
wants to be Juno's friend, but Juno's like, this is my gig. Right, sweetheart? You're saying this is my gig. So, Deb, thank you so much for taking the ride.
Yeah, it was great.
It's always good to see you guys.
Nice to be here, always.
And,
She's tiny. She doesn't want to play.
no, she doesn't want to play with you. She's saying, I don't know, Mom.
Just like the Basset Hound in the foster to adopt home.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I guess you could put it that way, that not every dog wants to be, wants to play. Juno has her choices. Bailey's got his choices. Everybody's got choices. And, you know, Bailey needs to find himself a dog that wants to play with him. And Juno wants to say, not me. It's not going to be me, is it, Juno? No, huh? Okay, well, Juno's just going to say, I'll take it. I'll take the love. And as we said, Juno is on TV and she's naked. But we're not going to point that out for too long, are we? No, huh? Mom's covering her up. That's awesome. Anyway, again, thank you guys very much for coming down. I really appreciate it. Again, Deb, thanks for taking the ride.
Yeah.
And all that you do to support the shelter. I love the pictures of Juno dropping off supplies. We're going to say goodnight because the credits are rolling, and this is going to blindside you a little bit, but Deb's done it before. Do it with me. We're going to say peace, love,
Love.
and dogs. Good night, everybody.